welcome back. Today we're talking about dividing polynomials. Let's go ahead and take a look at example A. So here we are at example A, and we need to simplify our expression, which is 64x squared minus 24x to the third power minus 16x, all divided by 8x. And we're going to use our old friend, long division. So we're going to start by putting 8x on the outside of our long division problem. We're going to put a big long division problem here because we're going to need a long space for our 64x squared underneath, our minus 24x to the third underneath, and our minus 16x underneath. All right, so now we're going to try and figure out what goes into 8 that could give us 64x squared. And that number is 8. So 8 times 8 is going to give us 64, and that's great. But now when I go to try and put the x, I only have one x, and I need to get x squared. So I need to make sure that I include an x here, so that 8x times 8x is going to give me x squared. Then 64 minus 64 is going to give me 0. X squared minus x squared is going to give me 0, and I've got 0. All right, so now I'm going to bring down my next term, which is negative 24x cubed. So now I've got to figure out what can go into negative 24. So this time I've got a positive, so I need to make it negative. That much I know. And I've got to figure out from how to get the 8 to negative 24, so that's going to be 3. And then I've got one x already, but I need to make sure that I have 3 x's, so I'm going to have x squared so that I can have a total of 3 x's. So now we're going to do negative 3 times positive 8, which is going to give us negative 24. And x squared times x is going to give us x to the third. Now negative 24x to the third minus negative 24x to the third, minus and a minus is going to give us a plus, and that's going to end up resulting in 0. So now we're going to go ahead and bring down our last term there, which is going to be negative 16x. All right, we've got to figure out what goes into 16. That's going to be 2, but I need a negative, so I'm going to have negative 2 this time. And I already have the x, so I don't need to add any others. Negative 2 times positive 8 is going to give me negative 16, and the x is already there, so I've got x. Negative 16 minus a negative 16 is again going to result in 0, and I can see that I now have my term completely simplified. But bad news, it's not written in standard form, so I need to make sure that I do that. So it should be negative 3x to the squared plus 8x to the first minus 2, which is our constant. Now let's take a look at the next example. Now here in example B, again, we're going to be simplifying our expression by using our old friend long division. Now this time we've got a trinomial divided by a binomial, but our system's going to be the same. So we're going to take an x minus 4, that's going to be on the outside of our division, and then we're going to have a nice long division symbol again because we want to have x squared minus 10x plus 24. All right, and again, we're going to start with our first term. So our first term is going to be x. So we want to add x times x is going to give us x squared, which is what we're looking for. Okay, and then x times negative 4 is going to give us negative 4x. Fabulous. Now we're going to do subtraction. So x squared minus x squared is going to give us 0. And negative 10x minus 4x is going to leave us with negative 6x, because negative 10 minus a minus 4 is an addition, so we end up with negative 6x. We're going to bring down our plus 24. And now again, we're going to look for a term that can somehow get us to negative 6x and 24. So that's going to be negative 6, because we want to do negative 6 times x, which is going to be negative 6x. And negative 6 times negative 24 is going to give us positive 24. Negative 6x minus 6x, so negative minus a negative is going to end up giving us 0. And 24 minus 24 is going to end up giving us 0. So we're done. So x minus 6 is our simplified term. Now let's take a look at the last one. All right, here we're at example C, and we want to simplify our expression. And it says this time long division won't work, so we're going to need to factor. So on top we have trinomials. On the bottom we have two binomials. Now we know that we can factor that trinomial on top by using a factor puzzle. So we're going to do a times c, and a times c in this case is going to be 2 times negative 3 is going to give us negative 6. And we're going to be adding to negative 1 because that's what b is. All right, so I'm looking for numbers that can multiply to negative 6, add to negative 1. Again, I want that to be a negative, and I need my negative to be bigger, so it's going to be negative 3, positive 2, because negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6, and negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So now I'm going to need to write that in my expanded form, so I'm going to do that first. So my expanded form here is going to be 2x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 3. So now that I've got that in expanded form, it's time for binomials. So I've got a binomial here and a binomial here. So in the first expression, it feels like I can pull out just an x. So 2x divided by x is going to be x on the outside, left with 2x on the inside, or 2x squared divided by x. Negative 3x is going to leave me with just 3. On the other side, I don't really have too much that I can pull out. It looks like I can pull out just a 1, so I'll have that on the outside. 2 divided by 1 is going to give me 2x, and negative 3 divided by 1 is going to give me negative 3. Now I know I'm on the right track because my binomials are the same, so I know that my binomials here are going to be one of my factors, so I've got 2x minus 3, and then what I've got left over is x and 1, so I've got x plus 1 as my other one. All right, so that's my numerator factored. So now I'm going to rewrite my problem so that my numerator is on top factored and my denominator is underneath that. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I've got 2x minus 3 and x plus 1. So underneath that is going to be 2x plus 1 as one of my factors and 2x minus 3 as my other factor. So now I'm looking for greatest common factors or things that I can pull out of both the top and the bottom. And it looks like I can pull out a 2x minus 3 and a 2x minus 3. Since I'm going to pull them out, they're going to cancel because 2x minus 3 divided by 2x minus 3 is going to give me 1. So what I'm going to be left with on the top is just x plus 1. And what I'm going to be left with on the bottom is just 2x plus 1. And again, this is as far as I can go because they don't have any common factors that I can pull out of both the top and the bottom. So this is as far as I can go with my division, and I've simplified my expression. That brings us to the end of this problem. It also brings us to the end of this set of notes. If you like this video, you're going to say thumbs up. If you love this video, you're going to say sub. And we will catch you in the next one.